Hello everyone. This is our third class of mat yoga in our series called Pause and Be Present. So I think a lot of times in our busy lives, we don't often pause to enjoy our surroundings or pause just to pay attention to how we're feeling or pay attention to what's happening around us. So today during this practice, let's do the very best that we can to really notice how we're feeling. Notice when we have thoughts come into the mind, and we're not going to necessarily dwell on them, but maybe just make a little note. And if it's something you want to think about later on, then so be it. But let's really try to be present. Let's start off as we always do by unwinding through the shoulders, doing our best to let go of the day that we've had, letting go of stray thoughts, and bringing ourselves to this present moment, right here, right now. And let's take a moment as we're rolling the shoulders back to just think about how we're feeling as we start this practice. Now let's roll the shoulders all the way back and down. Standing tall, feeling each foot firmly connected to the ground beneath us. If you're comfortable doing so, let's close our eyes. Let's just take some deep cleansing breaths here. Maybe taking the time to take a personal inventory of how the body is feeling physically. Noticing any areas of the body that could be giving us concern. Maybe taking inventory of how we're feeling mentally as we come to the mat. And of course, not passing any judgment on how the physical body feels or how our mentality is as we start this practice, but just observing and noticing where we are right now. Starting to really hear the sound of our healthy breathing as we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And we notice how the breath feels as it moves in and out of the body. Moving through the chest, moving through the belly. And when we really hear the sound of our healthy breathing, we're reminded to breathe throughout each pose today, especially if a pose is challenging. Let's keep breathing rather than holding the breath. And let's remember that with each inhale, we're breathing peace and calm into the body and the mind. And with each exhale, we're letting go of stray thoughts, letting go of judgment and competition, even when they're directed toward ourselves. And we're also letting go of our own expectations today, allowing ourselves to be pleasantly surprised by what these physical bodies can do when given the opportunity. And we always, always make a promise to ourselves to listen to the body at all times, easing up whenever needed, and giving ourselves more of a challenge whenever wanted. So let's take a few more cleansing, centering breaths. And when we're ready, let's slowly open our eyes. Now, let's take both hands and bring them together at heart center in prayer pose or Anjali Mudra. You're welcome to rest the blades of your thumbs right at the heart center or the breastbone, or you might take those hands and rest the base of the thumb right at the third eye. And that's that space just above the space between the eyebrows. Now we're going to chant Om 3 times. And here's how it's going to work. We're going to inhale, and for the whole length of our exhale, we're going to give a loud Om and go all the way to the end of your exhale. We're going to do it 3 times through, so we'll just go right into another inhale and then Om. So whichever pitch you want to use is fine by me. Some pitches are said to mean different things in the body and to access different parts of the body. But we're just going to pick one pitch. Whatever yours is, whatever mine is, we're going to do it together. And remember, that little word Om, O-M, means universal connectedness. So we are connected to each other no matter how far apart. We are connected to all of our neighbors. We're connected to our animals that surround us, the birds in the trees, the raccoons and the squirrels on the ground. We're connected to the air, the sun, all energy that surrounds us. We're all connected. And that little tiny word means all of that. So when you're ready, with the hands at heart center or at the third eye, let's start with a big inhale. Relax those hands down, roll those shoulders back. Now, let's go ahead and bring both hands back again to heart center. On the inhale, let's reach one hand up as the other presses down. And on the exhale, come back to the heart. Inhale, pressing in the opposite directions. Exhaling, pressing back to heart center. Standing up nice and tall, open through the chest. One more time, stretching those arms out long, bringing hands back to the heart. Now let's take one arm over to the side with a side bend. Exhale over to the other side. Inhaling and exhaling, just flowing side bends. starting to just gently bend through the torso, lubricating the spine. One more side bend on each side. Coming all the way back upright, rolling our shoulders back. Let's inhale the left arm to shoulder height, watching the tips of our fingers as we gently, gently twist. Inhaling back to the center and exhaling down. Other side, let's inhale the right arm up, watching the tips of our fingers. Inhaling back to the center and exhaling down. Really hearing the sound of our breathing, finding our focus there. Allowing ourselves to be present in this moment, right here, right now. One more time on each side, a lateral raise with a gentle twist. Now, right where we are, let's take a wider stance on our mat. Bending through the knees. We want to make sure that we can see our toes down there. So that tells us we've got a good wide base. If you cannot see your toes, your feet might be too close together, which might put too much strain on the knees. So make sure you've got a nice wide base. Let's inhale the arms up to a 5-pointed star. On the exhale, bring your elbows in toward your ribs. Inhale, reach up for the corners of the room. Exhale, bring the elbows in. One more moonflower. Now let's hinge forward and gather, always bending the knees before we hinge. Inhaling and rising tall. Exhale, hinging with a flat back. Inhale, rise up. A few more of these hinging sunflowers. Last time. Now let's use our prayer flow. Lift those arms overhead, palms touch. On the exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Building some good heat in the body. And also taking comfort in these familiar flowing movements. We might notice that the sound of our ujjayi breath in through the nose and out through the nose sounds a lot like the wind as it blows through a forest of trees, or the ocean waves as they meet the shoreline. One more prayer flow. Now let's bring those arms all the way down, stepping all the way up to the top of our mat here. Let's inhale, both arms overhead, a little bend in the knees as we swan dive to a forward fold. On the inhale, we lift the back to a tabletop for monkey. And on the exhale, down to forward fold. Little micro bend in the knees as we rise up. Swan diving down. Inhaling up to monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. Rise up on the inhale, lift, lift, lift. Swan diving down. Let's use 3 more of these monkey flows. Sending good lubricating fluids down to the lower back. Last time through. Now when we come to forward fold, let's stay here a moment. Let's take 3 full breaths. Remember, if you're someone working through glaucoma, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or vertigo, you would not want to put your head below the heart. So we would stay up here in a monkey position with our chest parallel to the ground. Now from here, we're going to step all the way back into our downward dog, reaching those heels as close to the ground as we can manage with hips up high, making that upside down V shape for the body. And let's go ahead and start to pedal through the heels here. Stretching out those lower legs. Keeping our abdominals engaged to support the back at all times. Now let's reach those heels back and down, taking 3 breaths here. Now gently we lower the knees to the mat. Let's stack right up into an all fours posture, and let's use a little cat and cow today. Let's inhale, arching the back for cow pose. And on the exhale, we curl up into our cat. Another wonderful way to lubricate the spine with cat and cow. One more time, rounding up into our cat pose, coming back into a neutral position. As we look at the ground, let's continue to keep the abdominals strong. On the next inhale, let's reach our left arm forward. I'm going to need to move up on my mat. The left arm forward and the right leg extends behind us. Exhale, back to all fours. Now this time, try it on the other side. The right arm reaches forward and the left leg extends behind and back to all fours. Spinal balance flow, engaging the abdominal muscles here to help us maintain our balance. Now let's extend and hold the pose for 4 breaths. Then come back to all fours, the other side. Inhale and reach out, hold for 4 breaths. And come back to all fours. Let's reach those hips back toward the heels, coming into extended child's pose. This is Balasana. A wonderful way to stretch out the back, and also a wonderful resting pose if you ever need one during practice. Now on the next inhale, let's shift the whole body forward to a strong kneeling plank pose. Engage the abdominals. On the exhale, keep your elbows close to the body as we lower down to the floor. On the inhale, lift the chest away from the ground like a snake in the grass for cobra, and then press the body all the way back to child's pose. Again, let's inhale, coming forward, engage the abdominals, lower down gently. On the inhale, let's lift to cobra, and on the exhale, come on back. Few more times through using our upper body practice. Inhale to kneeling plank. Exhale, lower down to the ground. Inhale, lift the chest away from the ground for cobra. Exhale, press all the way back. Last time through. And come all the way back when you're ready. All the way back to Balasana, child's pose. And then we'll take those hands and walk them over to the right side, getting a deeper stretch through the left side of our trunk. Now let's walk the hands back to the center and over to the other side. Now walking the hands back to the center. Let's go ahead and curl. Actually, let's come back to child's pose. There's one more thing we want to do here before we move on. Let's shift the body forward to an all fours pose. And let's take our left foot and step it as far forward up to the hands as is comfortable. Now, this is our kneeling lunge, like a runner's warm-up position. Now I can keep my hands down low at the ground, or I might decide to rest my hands on top of that bent knee, or maybe I'll lift the hands up into a cactus formation, opening up the chest a little bit more. Now let's hinge forward. Take that left foot back. Bring your right foot up to the hands. Lay those left toes down. Decide if you want to be low to the ground for the runner's warm-up, or if you want to pick those hands up, resting them on that bent knee. And then there's that cactus option too. Kneeling lunge. Now let's gently fold forward. Take that right foot back. Reach those hips back toward the heels. Taking a couple breaths here. And when we're ready, let's lift the hips, curling our toes to the ground. Press the heels back and down. Downward dog. pausing, feeling that wonderful extension for the spine, the stretch for the back of the legs. And on the next inhale, let's come forward to a high plank or that kneeling plank and lower yourself down, lifting to upward dog or cobra, then lifting the whole body back to downward dog. Hopping up, stepping up, or walking up to the hands. Rise up tall as you inhale. And on the exhale, pretend to sit in a chair behind you. Inhaling, arms up. Swan diving to a forward fold. Stepping all the way back for downward dog. Inhaling forward to the plank of choice. Lowering with control. Inhale, lifting to cobra or upward dog. Come all the way back, downward dog. Moving up to the hands, 1 foot at a time. Rise up with a little bend in the knees. And on the exhale, sit back into a chair. Inhaling, arms up. Swan diving down. Stepping back, downward dog. Inhale to the plank of choice, lower with control, lift to upward dog or cobra. Curl the body back, downward dog. Moving up to your hands, rising as we inhale and exhaling to a chair pose. Inhaling, arms up, swan diving down. Stepping back for downward dog. Inhaling into plank, lower with control, lift, come all the way back, downward dog, moving up to those hands, rising and exhaling to chair. Now let's follow the breath. Use any options you like. Use any sun salutation you like. Just be present. That's all I ask. Let's use 2 more of our sun salutations. Now, when you're done, bring those arms all the way down. Grab yourself a drink if you have one. Always a good idea to have a drink close by. Ideally, we would be hydrated before we start our practice. And of course, after we finish, we would continue to hydrate. We definitely want to hydrate during the class. So please take breaks whenever you need a sip. Let's stand tall, rolling our shoulders back. Let's take our left arm across the chest. Use your right arm to hug it in close for a half knot. noticing how we're standing on our feet. Ideally, we're standing with the ball of the big toe, the ball of the pinky toe, and the heel, each equally connected to the ground beneath us. So we're not rolling to the outer edges of the foot or the inner edges. So then when we allow ourselves to pause, you might think about how we're actually standing, because that creates a chain reaction throughout the body. The way that we stand on our feet can impact our knees, our hips, all the way up through our skeleton. Now let's relax your half knot. Bring that right arm across the chest, hugging it in close to the body with that left arm. I love to use half knot after the sun salutations. The shoulders are nice and warm and stretchy through the muscles there, but it's also a really nice way to catch your breath, especially if those sun salutations are vigorous and many. Now let's relax that arm. Let's take our right arm and put it across our lower back. And automatically we start to feel nice and open through the chest. If you want to hold on to the other arm for a bind, you're welcome to do so. And check in regularly with this right shoulder. Make sure things are feeling comfortable there. It's not too much of a range of motion. Now when you're ready, relax your bind. Let's reach that right arm up as high as you can reach, and then bend at the elbow, trying to connect with your shoulders or just get closer to them. And if you'd like, you can take that left hand, use it to guide that right elbow a little closer to the midline of the body. Remember what I always say, when your head gets in the way of that range of motion, that's where you stop. We don't want to put our head down or tilt it back, because then that would jeopardize the alignment of our spine. Now when you're ready, let's take the left arm down and then the right. Let's reach the left arm across the lower back. Decide if you want to bind by holding on to your other arm. Now let's relax that bind. Let's pick that left arm up, reach as high as you can, bend at the elbow, try to connect with the shoulders or get closer to them, and then guide that elbow a little deeper into that range of motion work for the shoulder, but only if it's feeling good for you. So please listen to the body at all times. Now let's relax the right arm and then the left, and let's gently roll those shoulders back and down. And let's bring the hands back again to heart center. Feet are hips distance apart. Let's inhale, engaging the abdominals, lifting up tall through the crown. On the exhale, start to twist just below the belly button, feeling it rise into the mid-belly, maybe rising into the ribs, twisting as far as is comfortable for you. Standing spinal twist. Now when you're ready, gently, gently unwind back to the center. Let's try the same thing over to the other side. Let's inhale first, engage the abdominals, lift up tall, and on the exhale, start low below the belly button. Feel it twisting, twisting toward the other side. Now gently, gently, let's come back to the center and relax those arms. Let's step all the way up again to the top of our mat, standing with our feet hips distance apart. So you might think about standing on the outer edge of railroad tracks here. Let's start with our right foot today, stepping that right foot as far back as it will step with that whole right foot connecting to the ground and turning your hips to face forward. Engaging the abdominals, keeping that good bend in the front knee for warrior one. I'm going to take my hands behind the back for a forearm bind. I'm just holding on to my other arm. The arms are kind of stacked up behind me like fire logs. Looking straight out into the distance with a soft gaze through the eyes. Now release your bind. Let's pick up that right foot and gently step back into warrior two. So I'm keeping my left toes facing forward, keeping that good bend in the left knee. But now I'm in more of a balance beam stance. So my right foot is now parallel to the back of the mat. Looking out over the right middle finger here. You can choose to be still or flow the pose. If you're flowing the pose, it'll look like this. We'll inhale the arms overhead, gently straightening the front knee, and then we'll come back to the bend in the knee. So think about what you're looking for tonight, whether it's flowing movements or keeping things still. It's always up to you. Two more breaths in warrior two. Coming back to warrior two here. Let's turn that left palm up toward the sky. Reach forward gently to serve your friends. Then tilt the upper body back. Now remember to keep that front knee bent as best we can. I can choose to look up to my high fingertips for balance work, or look straight ahead, or I can look right past that front arm. Now let's come back to warrior two. Relax those arms, stepping all the way up to the top of the mat. Let's inhale the arms overhead. Put a little bend in the knee as you swan dive down to a forward fold. On the inhale, let's lift to monkey. And on the exhale, back to forward fold. Rising tall as we inhale and sit back into a strong chair pose. Inhaling, arms overhead, swan diving to a forward fold. Inhale, lifting to monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. Rising as we inhale and exhaling to chair. Two more times through. Follow the breath. One more chair pose. Now bring those arms all the way down. Let's make sure that our feet are hips distance apart. This time we're taking the left foot back for warrior one. Turning our hips to face forward, looking straight out into the distance. You can choose to use that forearm bind again behind the back, or any other hand options you like for warrior one. And even though we're working hard here, we still want to relax at the same time. Relaxing the forehead, eyes, cheeks and mouth, relaxing the neck and the shoulders. Now when you're ready, relax your bind, leave your right foot where it is, pick up the left foot, stepping back into that strong warrior one pose. Decide if you're going to stand still or flow the pose. It's always up to you. Two more breaths. Coming back to warrior two. Let's take that right palm, turn it up toward the sky, reach forward to serve your friends, elongating the spine first, and then tilting the upper body back. Now let's come on back to warrior two. Relax the arms, gently, gently step up and shake out those legs. All right, so now let's go ahead and take another drink if we have one. It's a good time to pause and take a sip. One of the things that we do know is that if we're walking around dehydrated, that can certainly impact our balance. So even though it may not seem glamorous to drink a good amount of water throughout the day, it really is benefiting our balance, which is not only good for our yoga practice, but of course, we know it's good in all areas of our life to have some good balance. So let's go ahead and practice a standing balance pose, which is my ultimate favorite pose, tree pose. Let's shift all of our balance over to one foot and point through the opposite toes. Draw that foot in. The toes can be at ground level as your heel leans against your supporting leg, or you could pick the whole foot up and place it on the side of your calf, or you might choose to pick it up very high on the inside groin. It's always up to you which options you want to use. Looking straight ahead into the distance at a steady focal point. Getting good and grounded through that foot that is supporting you. Opening up the hip of the bent leg. Let's take 4 more breaths. Now when you're ready, shake those limbs out. Let's go ahead and shift it all over to the other side. So shift your balance to the other foot, point through the opposite toes. Draw that foot in, plant the limbs wherever you like them best for today. Find your steady focal point in the distance, focusing there, breathing, and enjoying tree pose, feeling grounded, shining with gratitude that we're pausing and taking the time for this practice, which is so beneficial to the body and the mind. Now, when you're ready, shake out those limbs. All right, now let's go ahead and inhale. The left arm up, reach as high as you can to get good length in the spine, and then let's take a side bend. Really enjoying this side body stretch. Now on the next inhale, lift, lift, lift. Exhale that arm down. Let's inhale the right arm up, reach as high as you can to stretch out and elongate the spine, and then that nice side bend. Now gently, gently rise up, lower that arm down. Let's take ourselves to the top of the mat, inhaling both arms overhead, swan diving down to our forward fold. When you get down here, let's take a moment to straighten the legs as much as is comfortable today. And I thought we would use elephant bind today in this practice. So with your arms down long, you can either just touch the palms together and lace the fingers, that's one way, or you can twist at the wrist and then lace the fingers for elephant. And I want you to engage the abdominals first. And then we're just going to move the lower back just very gently side to side. And you can kind of bring a little sway to your elephant's trunk. Now I'm here to tell you, it's not a giant movement. It's just a tiny little thing that makes our forward fold a little more fun in elephant bind. Now when you're ready, relax your elephant bind, so unlace those fingers. Go ahead and take down one knee and then the other. And let's press those hips back again for child's pose, Balasana. Now when you're ready, let's shift forward to an all fours posture. So for puppy pose, we're going to keep the hips right above the knees, exactly where they are, but we're going to stretch the arms long in front of us. So it's kind of a lot like downward dog, but from a bent knee position. So let's stretch out a little more here in puppy pose. Now let's take our left hand and I want you to reach it under your right arm, palm up. You might even turn the head, coming into thread the needle pose, which is a nice upper back twist, nice stretch for the shoulders. Now when you're ready, let's come on back to puppy. Now take that right arm, reach it under, palm up toward the sky for thread the needle. Now when you're ready, come on back with those arms, reach the hips back toward the heels again for child's pose. Let's just take 3 breaths here. And then we'll walk our hands back toward our bent knees, lifting up through the torso. Let's go ahead and bring ourselves down to the ground here. Now, let's extend our right leg long in front of us. And let's bring our left foot in close to the bottom, having the left knee bent. Let's inhale and reach the left arm up, windmilling it around as we exhale. And you can put it on the ground behind you. On the inhale, let's take that right arm up. And I can either bend at the elbow and rest it outside of my left knee for a seated twist, or I can use my right hand to hold the outside of the left knee and just turn into that twist. So whichever feels better for you. Let's lift up tall through the trunk, engage the abdominal muscles, create a little space for your twist. Wringing out anything that is of no use to us anymore. Negative thoughts, maybe toxins in the body, whatever it is you need to let go of, let's wring it out here. Now gently, gently unwind. Let's switch legs here. So now we have the right leg bent and we slide that right foot up close to our bottom. The left leg is out long. Let's inhale the right arm up, windmill it around and place it on the ground behind you. Then we'll inhale that left arm up. You can bend at the elbow, resting it outside of your bent knee, or use your left hand to just hold outside of the bent knee. And what we're doing is we're sitting up tall, we're engaging our abdominal muscles, and we've got this nice deep twist through the trunk. Now when you're ready, gently, let's unwind. Let's slide all the way up toward the top of the mat. With bent knees, let's gently roll ourselves down 1 vertebrae at a time. Hugging those knees in toward the chest. That's a nice release for the lower back. And again, you might choose to rock the knees. Sometimes I like to circle them around gently, and that can help you massage all parts of the lower back. Just always remember, if you're using circles, you always want to reverse them. And then bring those knees back in toward the chest. Let's keep the knees bent, but lower the feet down to the ground. And let's go ahead and open up those bent knees into a reclined butterfly position. Palms are up toward the ceiling in a receiving gesture. Relaxing here in reclined butterfly, a wonderful hip opening pose. Pausing, observing how the body is feeling. Sometimes we might notice there are some areas of tension in the body. And when we pause, we can send our thoughts there, trying to relax, relax, relax through that tension. Now, when you're ready, let's bring those bent knees back upright. You're welcome to keep your knees bent for Shavasana if that's more comfortable for your back, or you can take that traditional Shavasana pose, which is corpse pose, by straightening the legs out, allowing the feet to fall apart in relaxation. Now, as we settle into Shavasana, we know that the only thing that we need to do here is breathe in a relaxed way and simply observe. Nothing else is required. So I thought we'd relax a little more step by step into Shavasana today. So let's take a moment to just reach the arms down away from the ears. And let's allow the forehead to relax, relax. Allowing our eyes, cheeks, and mouth to relax, relax. Feeling relaxation moving down through the neck, down to our shoulders, following it down through the chest and the abdomen, taking that relaxation down to the pelvis, relaxing through the buttocks, and feeling the relaxation travel down through our upper legs, allowing it to wash down over the knees, traveling down through the lower legs, down to the ankles and the soles of our feet. And we feel this wonderful river of relaxation floating all the way out through the tips of our toes. Now, when we're ready, let's slowly begin to invite small movements back into the fingers and the toes, gently, gently waking them. Let's start to breathe a little more deeply, breathing good, nourishing oxygen into all parts of the physical body. And we find our hearts are shining with gratitude today. Grateful that we actually took the time to pause and to be present. And we acknowledge how valuable that is in our everyday life and how beneficial it is to this body and this mind. And we know that we can take time to pause much more in our lives, and we know it will be equally beneficial. So we make a promise to ourselves to pause more often, to be present more often. Now let's take the time to slowly bend the knees, and let's hug those knees in toward the chest, again releasing the lower back. Maybe rocking those knees side to side if it's comfortable to do so. And when you're ready, let's carefully roll the whole body over to one side on the ground. Each of us breathing in all of our many favorite poses and favorite jewels of this practice, and exhaling all of the warmth, kindness, encouragement, and love that we have for each other, for the whole world around us, and for ourselves. And with our eyes still closed, when we're ready, let's gently, gently bring ourselves back up to an upright, seated position on the mat. I invite each one of us here to bring the hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra, a symbol of gratitude. So grateful for this practice and this time that we've shared together today. Let's start to rub those hands vigorously to warm them. And we'll use our warm hands to gently cover our closed eyes. And that wonderful heat that we find radiating there is inviting our eyes to slowly open, and we bring our hands to rest upon our laps. Clear minds, kind words, compassionate hearts. Namaste.